You need a receipt for massaman curry, which is great. A few years ago, you type it into Google and you get a list of links. You click on one of those links from a Thai food blogger, scroll past the charming, overly long story about her grandmother and find the recipe, right? You click on another, a sleek food magazine site and compare the ingredients. You would explore, you will make your choice. If you did the same search today, you're not getting any links. You just get a sterile numbered list of ingredients and instructions hovering at the top of the page, right? It was generated by AI. It was clean, efficient, immediate. It's also completely soulless. You got the answer, but you lost the connection, the context, the humanity. You didn't even visit a website. And at that tiny, very convenient moment, you participated in the quiet death of the open internet. Rest in peace. Sawadee Krap and welcome to the Funkit Mindful Media and Communication, where we're always putting our theoretical goggles on to make sense of the media world and to see how is the media world trying to get at us, and we're trying to get back at it. For more than 2 decades, way more than 2 decades, the internet had a simple foundational bargain. Creators and publishers would make content, search engines, Google, what's the other thing, would index it, and users would click on links to access it. That was the deal. That was the deal for over 2 decades. That era is over, says the guy teaching search engine optimization at university level. That's not a future prediction. The switch has already been flipped. And with the rise of AI overviews and answer engines right there in your Google search, if you even still use Google, the goal is no longer to send you to information, it's to be the information. So today, we're conducting a post-mortem for the hyper-based linked internet. We had a good run. We are going to analyze how did this happen, who profits from it, and what immense societal cost is it when the richest, most diverse information ecosystem in human history gets replaced by a single all-knowing black box. To understand how we get there, right, or how we got here, you have to follow the money and the traffic. Traffic meaning the traffic on the internet. Where do people click and where do people visit and so on. And this is a classic case for a theory called political economy of the media. Okay, that theory analyzes how power and wealth shape our communication systems. The old system was kind of a digital feudalism. We, the users, we lived on our little plots of land, blogs, websites, publications, and Google was the king who owned all the roads. The king would send its crawlers out to see what we're producing, and if it deemed the content worthy, it would send a road, a link, right, our way. This would bring traffic to us that we need to survive, either through ads, subscriptions, or selling products. It was an often frustrating, deeply unequal relationship, but there was a relationship. The king needed the villagers to produce the goods. The new system is different. The king has decided it no longer needs the villagers. It just needs the goods. With AI, Google and other search giants, if there are any, now scrape all of the content from those websites, our recipes, our news articles, our product reviews, and use it to train their models. Then when a user asks a question, the AI synthesizes all that stolen, trained on knowledge and presents it as its own unique answer, keeping the user right there on Google's property, not sending them anywhere. So the publisher who did the research, the blogger who tested the recipe, the journalist who broke the story, they're completely cut out of the loop. No click, no traffic, no revenue. It's a breathtaking upstream consolidation of value for Google, right? Google is no longer just the map to the territory. It has consumed the territory and is now kind of like selling a picture of the territory to you. Which brings me to what we call now, maybe, what do we call it? The great IP, the great intellectual property heist. That's how we call it. Because what I just said, right, leads to the obvious and deeply uncomfortable question: how did the AI get so smart? It did so by ingesting the entire corpus of the human internet, more or less. And this is where we have to talk about the original sin of modern AI. The ethics, oh God, what a word, right? Of intellectual property and IP, and the legal concept of fair use. Those are two terms that you hear a lot about when it comes then to copyright claims, especially online. Okay, intellectual property and fair use. The tech companies, OpenAI, Google, and so on, they argue that scraping all public data for training purposes constitutes fair use. So fair use basically in theory also means that so you can use existing content for research, academia. You can reproduce parts of the content if it doesn't supersede the existing content. For example, if you're adding new meaning to it, for example, all those things. So fair use is very clearly defined. So the definition that now tech giants say scraping content equals fair use, it's a pretty, I want to keep it clean, but it's a pretty perverse interpretation of fair use. Because they're using the collective work of humanity, more or less, right? Or art, or writing, or knowledge, without permission and without compensation to build a product that directly competes with and ultimately destroys the sources it learned from, meaning it supersedes it, which is against the principle of fair use. It's the greatest, it's the most audacious intellectual property heist in history. And think about the central irony here, right? The very ecosystem that made Google's search engine valuable in the first place, the rich tapestry of millions and millions of independent creators, publishers, academics, and enthusiasts of whatever, freely sharing their knowledge. It's the same ecosystem that has been fed into the machine that is now starving it to death. Yet the value was created by the many and has been captured, enclosed, and monopolized by the very few. Yet the villagers have been forced to bake the bricks for their own prison walls. And we don't see it because AI is so freaking convenient that we're all okay with it. So the economic fallout, if you follow my thoughts so far, is clear. But what are the deeper, the more societal costs of this new model? And this is where we talk about another theory called media ecology, okay? One of our favorite media theorists, Marshall McLuhan, famously said, you should know that by now, the medium is the message, right? So the way we receive information shapes us just as much as the information itself. So the old medium was a web of links. It was messy, but chaotic, and often frustrating. You're clicking like, what the hell is this? But it was a medium by its very nature that encouraged exploration, source comparison, and to a small degree, critical thought. You had to decide which links to click and what to believe, what to trust. The new medium is the singular, authoritative AI answer. It's clean, it's simple, and it requires zero effort. It's a medium that encourages passivity, acceptance, and the subtle belief that there's one correct answer to every single question. Yeah, we are being trained out of the habit of exploration and into the habit of reception. And we're all cheering for it. And by the way, I'm not an AI hater, even though I sound like one right now. I'm using AI all the time. It's amazing. But I do see those problems happening. We're being trained out of critical thinking. And that's a big problem. Not just when it comes to the machines taking over in a few decades from now. It's more immediate when we're looking at what if governments control the AI? Do we just believe everything? Yeah, everything that's happening that I just mentioned, that creates the ultimate knowledge monopoly. When one company, and who does the company report to? When one company's black box algorithm that we don't know how exactly it works becomes the primary source for how a society answers its questions, then we're placing a dangerous amount of trust in a single, unaccountable entity, which is insane. Why would we do that? It makes no sense. Just because of convenience. What happens when its training data is biased? When someone controls the training data? What happens when it hallucinates an incorrect fact? Who corrects it? Yet the gatekeeper has become the source. That's a fragile, a brittle, and a dangerous way to organize human knowledge. Oh my God, I'm becoming Alex Jones. Now all those three main parts I just mentioned, that brings me to my final, maybe even the most important point of today's episode. And I talked about him before. Yeah, and it's not just because I'm German, but the German philosopher Jürgen Habermas, he spoke of the public sphere. That was the term, okay? The public sphere is the conceptual space where citizens could come together to debate, discuss, and form public opinion. For all its flaws, the open, hyperlink-based web was a massive expansion of this public sphere. It was decentralized, messy, and it allowed for a plurality of voices. What we're witnessing with the rise of AI answer engines, is the final enclosure of this digital commons. It's the privatization of public knowledge. Yeah, the messy, multi-vocal public park is being paved over and replaced with a single, pristine, privately owned library where you're not allowed to see other books. You only look at the books I'm showing you here. And you don't even read the books. I'm going to tell you what's in those books. You don't have to read them. Yet the promise of the internet was that it would democratize information. The reality of the AI internet is that it's concentrating it. It centralizes power. It disincentivizes creation. And it trains us to be passive consumers of synthesized answers rather than active explorers of a diverse web of knowledge. And again, I sound like a hater, the convenience is undeniable. It's amazing. You just ask any question and there's your answer. It's fantastic. But the cost of that convenience, is the very soul of the internet that we once knew, and that people my age probably felt like kind of like a liberation from the existing system back then. You're like, oh my God, now I can access all the information in the world. This is amazing. And now we're coming back to having one single source. It's like we're going back to pre-internet days. Oh, yeah. I don't want to say back then, but back then, the internet wasn't just a utility, it was a culture. Okay, and that culture right now is being systemically, I don't want to say erased, but dismantled, like one convenient answer at a time. You know, the song by who sang it? Video killed the radio star, AI killed the internet. And we're all watching, cheering, celebrating. But hey, what do we do? What could we do? We have to, and it's hard, but we would have to consciously change our behavior. We have to make the choice to explore, not just to consume. We have to seek out independent creators, support the publications you trust directly, subscribe to them, for example. Use search engines as a starting point, but don't stop at that AI answer. Scroll down. Don't use it as an endpoint. We have to fight to keep the links, the hyperlinks alive, because a web without links isn't a web at all. It's a wall. There's no link, no road going anywhere. You can't go. You're in a prison. Break free. Stay free. Keep the internet alive. That's it for this episode of the Funkipod Multimedia and Communication. A bit of a somber note. I do hope we can revive the internet and keep it alive as much as possible. Let me know if you have any ideas of like how to do that, or do you think I'm exaggerating? Shout out in the comments. Until then, stay safe, take care. Click on the second page of Google. We talk soon. Sawadee khap.